Hi, this is Microdose U, and I'm Dr. Denise. I'm Doctor of Psychology. And here at Microdose U, we're always looking at microdosing psychedelics and as a part of a comprehensive path to healing, upgrading your life. So today I want to talk about how having compassion, empathy, caretaking is really a huge problem. And hang on, because what I mean by that is really when it's not in balance, which tends to be the case for a lot of people. The term I often hear is, oh, I have a caretaker personality. I'm an empath. I can't not do for everybody. And here's the thing, and I get that. Here's the thing, though. It is not actually that you have or that someone has a caretaker personality and that you have to do. Your body, your being was wired early on, most likely in life, at some pivotal moment, to basically function as if you needed to do something, caretake, take responsibility, fix things, whether it be in a home environment, at a work environment, typically at a younger point in your life, can happen later, but generally, somehow, your nervous system, not even just a concept in your brain, your nervous system was wired to believe and function as if taking responsibility, taking over, fixing anything and everything, caring for someone, doing being the person that does everything all the time for everybody, that your nervous system, not just like you thought and believed this, but your nervous system actually got wired and learned that that was how you would stay alive. That's how you would be acceptable, lovable, and it became very conditioned. And the term conditional love, meaning I have to do all these things to be loved. Now, yes, when we do something nice, it feels generous and loving to give to someone. When we receive, that feels loving as well. And here's the hitch: we do not need to do these things to be loved, to be a lovable being. We are lovable just because we're here and breathing. And yet, oftentimes, our society, a lot of families are set up that it's conditional. Oh, if you get an A on an exam, you're loved. If you do all this wonderful behaviors, you clean up your room. Oh, you're such a good girl. You're that. Thank you so much. Mommy loves you so much. Something of that nature. And while that sounds perfectly fine, really the flip side of that is if you don't do those things, you're not lovable. So really, the correction in if somebody had a young child and was saying that, I would say, like, that's fine, let's tweak it a bit. Thank you so much. I love what you did, and I love you. And when things are not going well, oh, that's a problem. That's a problematic behavior, or you did something wrong and I love you. You did something wrong and I love you. So it becomes about the behavior being something to learn, grow, shift, not you as a person. That is not how our society is set up. And it is stereotypic for women to feel, females often to feel like, oh, they have to be the caretakers. We're the ones that can make the babies and have the babies. And so, you go back to ancient civilizations, gatherers and hunters were the men, and women were home keeping, the cave clean and taking care of the children. So, I mean, we know modern times it doesn't say that and doesn't necessarily work that way, except there is some wiring that I remember as a little girl, you'd be a great teacher, you should be a nurse. When I said I wanted to be a doctor, I kind of got the like, well, don't you want to be a teacher or a nurse? Uh, that's a caretaking role. I remember my grandmother who's been gone for decades at this point saying, "What do you mean you're going to school? Don't you want to get married and have babies?" Like as if that was the purpose of women. And I get that that makes sense, particularly if we look back over, the history of time. Women did that. So that made sense in a certain way. Men physically couldn't stay home and have the baby. So, but the idea that through time that became your identity as a female or a woman, or even just this can apply to people in general. I mean, I know this is women's health, and a lot of times I'll say it applies to people, not just women. There is that extra, oh, you're a good little girl and you're going to be a teacher, or you're going to be a nurse, or you're going to have children and take care of everything in the home. Plus, you have to do everything. So there's all kinds of historic reasons. And yet, what we talk about here at Microdose U is rewiring the circuitry. Yes, what we think and how we feel is all part of the complete comprehensive package. And yet, when your circuitry, think of it as electrical wiring in a house, you can't out strategize bad wiring. You can't even do therapy to outsmart wiring. I mean, yes, it helps to think all of the intentions that I talk about all the time. And yet, if your physiology is wired a certain way, like I'm saying home, you you can't, there isn't a strategy. We have to really upgrade that wiring. We have to shift the wiring. So this is why microdosing psilocybin LSD is so helpful, because it literally changes the physiological, neurological pathways. Now, yes, we do the work alongside that. We have to partner with the medicine and we have to do the work. And I'm going to talk about a quick exercise you can do to assist that in just a moment here. And yet, the wiring has to really shift, because if you're taught at a young age the way to be loved is to be responsible for everything, to be the caretaker, to have unlimited empathy and compassion. And by the way, not for yourself. In fact, often you'll see it's a common conversation now. If you're not giving yourself compassion, if you're not self compassionate, then you're actually not doing it correctly. Like on the plane, put your mask on first, then help the person next to you. Because if you don't do that, you're both not going to be breathing. So we really have to start with ourselves. We have to be compassionate with ourselves. We have to caretake ourselves, provide that for ourselves in order to then show up for others. Hi, it's Dr. Denise. I just wanted to take a quick break here and come in and let you know what we really can do to be helpful for you if you really want to change your life. There's so much that we do here at Microdose U, and one-on-one coaching, one-on-one, very personalized assistance to really create the perfect healing path and understanding about the medicine and access to the medicine, knowing how to proceed and how to do the right pathway for you in terms of microdosing psilocybin LSD. So click on the show notes. You're going to go to Microdose U, that's the word microdose and the letter U.com, and then click on coaching. All of that information is always in the show notes. And I am here for you. I absolutely know what it is like to be sitting with a lot of information and not knowing exactly what to do. Oftentimes people will tell me that just that one intensive coaching session help them really get their path going to your highest self and really get serious about having your life exactly as you want it and having your best year ever. So just go ahead and reach out to me so we can get you all set. Now, it can be out of balance. I'm thinking about many years ago, about 12 years ago at this point, and my son is fine now. He's an adult, he's healthy, but he went through very serious illness, life threatening, very, very serious. And it was a few years. And at one point, I became so depleted, not just energetically and worry, it was a compassion fatigue where I started to, I didn't stop loving him or caring. It was more, I was tapped out. It was like I was doing everything almost robotically. And a little bit of that was adrenal fatigue. And I felt as if in my brain and in my body, I was wired to be on the go, like a on call constantly, no downtime. So if I'm resting, I really wasn't resting. Half of me, more of me than half of me, probably was awake, on alert all the time. And if he needed something, boy, did I jump. And, bedside in the hospital, anything. And one moment, I'll never forget this moment. I had a few minutes where I could leave the bedside. He was in the ICU for a very long time. And let me not be dramatic, he's fine now, but it was really touch and go for quite a while. And there was this one day, and this had been going on for maybe about 8 months at this point. We were in the children's intensive care unit, and it was kind of like a moment I could get up, leave the bedside. He was constantly holding onto my hand and he was asleep and he wasn't. So I sort of felt like I could sneak away and go take a very quick shower. There was like a little parent room that you could go in. And I went into the shower and I remembered I was probably gone for 10 minutes. It felt like hours actually on some level. And I just was in the shower and I felt that water sort of washing over me. And I thought, I just have to be in this, like a waterfall, helping me. And I disconnected completely from anything to do with that I was in a hospital, that my son was fighting for his life. And it was like I shut down, but in a good way, that I disconnected from all of that, oh, I've got to get back kind of energy. And I really just kind of went into myself and I let that waterfall of the shower kind of be like a waterfall and wash over me. And it felt energetically better. And like I said, it was probably 10 minutes. I was gone from his bedside. And what I learned in that is something I want to be able to share with you, which is how to really show up and take care of yourself so that you can be there for others. Many times we are, whether it's a job responsibility that we're involved in helping others, or we have a loved one in our lives that is just needs care or has some special circumstances. Oftentimes we have children or aging parents or somebody needs something. And even something minor like, oh, my neighbor needs something, I'm going to jump right there and go do it, which I don't always necessarily do. Sometimes it's okay not to do everything. Oftentimes it's okay not to do everything. So, what I learned in that moment in the intensive care unit and what I'm speaking about now is really how to disconnect from everybody else, which sounds kind of cold hearted. And yet, by being able to do that, we can ultimately show up for ourselves and show up for anyone we're trying to caretake or provide compassion to or empathy. So, this is how it is. This is what it's a quick strategy. I often like to talk about quick strategies. And it's really imagining, if you will, that you have, I'll use my son as the example. Yeah, I'm going back to when he was younger. He's an adult now, as I said. So, picturing him and or someone, for you, picturing someone in your life that you have a connection to, that maybe you have been helping or you care about them deeply, and yet something maybe isn't balanced. Picturing that there's actually like this cord rope connection to them. And so I would picture my son and I would picture this cord, and it goes both ways, and it's a really tight, thick, strong cord. And in your imagination and mine with my son, come along and cut that cord. I mean, if it's tight and you need really big clippers, cut those cords. If you have several things in your life, a work might be pulling you towards something, or a parent or a child or a neighbor or friends, anything, concerns actually about anything in the world. This helps even if you've got nothing in your life, nobody in your life that needs anything. If you're worried about the world, it's really important. Picture like all those cords, all those ropes maybe going out around the planet, and then cut every single one of those cords. And I'm not done yet. That sounds terrible on some level, but it's going to be a really helpful place to go. Once you've cut, you've untethered all those cords. Now you've got kind of, maybe several of these, or I'm just using that one example, say with my son, or one thing that you're thinking of, one person. And you've got this kind of cut cord, but now you've got this piece here, right? So what you want to do is then you want to take that and you want to wrap that around you. So if there were several like tentacles or something around because you're concerned about multiple things, you're caretaking or providing empathy, or you have compassion for many aspects of the planet or as things in your life, you then cut all of that and wrap it around you and soak that energy in. Because what you're doing is you're taking that, all of that energy that's yanking on you, and you're first wrapping it around yourself. Again, it's like putting on the oxygen mask on the plane. May that never happen to you. But the idea, the concept that you have to breathe first, because you can't help anybody else. And I know that we hear these things all the time, and yet we're in a concept in our head, yes. And yet the microdosing of the psychedelics is going to really rewire our nervous system. And so, yes, when you take your microdose, you set your intentions. May I be calm? May I be balanced in compassion, empathy, caretaking? Absolutely do that as well. And yet you want to use the microdosing to really reset that wiring to a more balanced, helpful setting that's going to really create your best self. Because when you kind of pull all that energy away and you are in a better, more balanced place as far as, say, caretaking and empathy, you've had that break, you've rewired things using psychedelics, you then show up and you're able to say, oh, what's needed here? Not the old wiring. The old wiring says, I have to keep doing for everyone, because otherwise people aren't going to love me. They're not going to accept me. I'm not going to be approved of. And that is just not true. You are loved for who you are. You're being, you're here breathing, you're loved. And it's not conditional. You don't have to do anything to be accepted and loved. So hopefully that's helpful today for you. And as I always say, please reach out to me. I love the questions, the comments. Go on to Microdose U. I am here for you. We can work these things out, like I've said, often in one session, one intensive session. I know there's lots of moving parts, and what may specifically work for you, we can dial that in. Reach out to us at Microdose U, click on the coaching. Certainly, as we always say, check the show notes, Patreon, the WhatsApp, the live meetings have been phenomenal. And I will see you soon.